Hello, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. This is Allie and Keith coming to you from the state of Washington on November 29th, 2020.
Yay.
Um, our channel, Heart and Soul Connected, is a work in progress. We hope to continue to make it so. What we call this session, or sessions like this, is riffing, we call it. And it's like we pick a topic and we talk about it. And we invite you to make your comments below and let us know if there's anything that you want to talk about or that you would like us to do live, so that we can provide that opportunity for your voice to be heard as well. And anybody that has a channel that wants to promote their channel here, we would love to be able to host you for that as well. So,
And we are not experts by any stretch of the imagination. We are just people, just like everybody watching and listening now. So depending on your perception, we're either stupid or we're brave, either one. But yeah, everybody can or anybody can do this. And so we invite anybody who would like to join in the fun to come on down.
yep.
Man,
Keith and I have both separately studied a lot of things in metaphysics and spirituality and other topics. We both have our expertise in our own areas, but we love this general topic. And since we've been together 20 years this month, we decided that we finally need to work together and do what we initially came together to do, which was to put together seminars and things like that, but just in a different venue, just in a different way. So, and this is the most up-to-date way. So I pulled a card before we started. I like doing that. I'm not necessarily a card reader. I don't want to take that impression, but I love these cards by Denise Lynn, and they are called Sacred Traveler cards. So this message is really appropriate because it's asking you as a fellow traveler the question to come with us, because support is all around you. And I felt that that was an awesome pull this morning, especially since we are all on this journey together. So it makes it so much more exciting when you have fellow travelers. So I'd like to start out this morning. What we intend to do is to discuss topics that we think of, and then the riffing part comes when we end up going into something else or it takes us somewhere else or whatever. So we're open to that. This is not a lecture by any means. I kind of wanted to look at the idea of authenticity, but I also wanted to look at the idea of aging and wisdom and death, because it's all around us. And I don't want to be morbid when I'm talking about it. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, and that's understandable. I would like to start hosting.
but it's wrong.
Yep. I'd like to start hosting book clubs, which could be done in a Zoom meeting. And Keith, take your hands down, please. They're right in front of your face. No one can see you. Anyway, we'd like to get together and go on a journey together on a Zoom meeting and then post it. If you're interested at all, I would like to start out with a more serious topic, which is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's not a happy book. I like it because it likens our experience, in some ways can be likened to it, although his is a concentration camp. And there are people who do believe that they are being persecuted in a lot of ways here during this coronavirus. So if you're interested in it, pick up a copy of it, read it. And I would suggest that maybe if you are interested and you email me, we can meet maybe next weekend and discuss it as a group. If I don't get any hits on it, then maybe Keith and I will just do a riffing session on it. So, all right. So Keith, let's start out by talking about authenticity. What is your understanding of authenticity?
Being real.
Being real?
I'll give you a good example. You and I were way showers way back before the internet was even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
we bumped into each other in a networking group back in 2000, and we exchanged emails, and then we started bantering and writing back and forth and back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no, if you'll let me use the word ego, we weren't proving anything. There was nothing to persuade or dissuade, whatever. We were just being one human to another human, and we blossomed. Our relationship just absolutely took off, and it worked from that point forward because we were both authentic.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't put a different face on
Right. Different veneer
for
or a
the
mask.
other to
Yeah.
see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it it's helped us, it's served us quite well.
It has.
Don't you
Um,
agree?
I do. And I mean, I think that the idea of a mask is something that we don't really think about, but that many people do. They put a mask on, and I don't mean a coronavirus mask, but I mean a regular mask. You know, I act this way with this person, that way with that person. And, you know, there's no authenticity in that. It's more of a, I better act this certain way when I'm with them, or. And I find it fascinating that people cannot even see the metaphor. Um, and, you know, you've got people that refuse to wear a cloth mask, calling it a diaper and calling it this and calling it their freedom to make their choice and so on. But they don't realize that they wear that mask. They wear a mask anyway. So this might make them a little bit more authentic, because not wearing a mask, you know, it hurts them and us, or whoever they come in contact with. So I find that fascinating. I believe that many of us live lives of inauthenticity. I think we consciously or unconsciously believe that we have roles to play and that we have to meet that obligation because society and culture believes that we should. And so we play the role, but we're not happy with it. And it sometimes takes us a whole lifetime to figure out what it is we really want to do. And yet, there are some people that never figure it out. And so it has to do with maturity as well. Don't you agree?
So, what are you doing when you're actually doing that? When you are living according to the dictates of society or your family or group, what are you actually doing?
Well, you're just following the norms. You're not breaking loose. You're not being your authentic self. You're not being that to which you
What are you
came here to
being?
be. What do I
You're
mean?
living you're living someone else's life.
Expectation of your life or perception, correct. Yeah.
You're not living. Is that living?
Well, it is for
Is it?
some people. Some people are afraid to change and break out of that mold and move into something that would suit them better for fear more than anything else. But they sometimes wake up and say, wait a minute, I've been living this way and it just isn't serving who I am. Don't you agree? That's why there's a lot of
Yeah.
midlife crises.
Explain the difference between freedom and security.
Well, I did that on another podcast that I did, or video I did, but the idea that we are free or secure, both of those things are not true totally, because to have total freedom, you wouldn't have any encumbrances at all. So you know, if we live in a house, we have a mortgage. If we drive a car, we usually have a car payment, or at least insurance we have to pay. Um, and if you have a job, you can't just not call in, not show up, whatever. So your freedom is inhibited by those things to which you are tied. Security, on the other hand, can be taken away from anybody. There may be a false sense of security people feel, and sometimes we need that false sense, like a blanket around us. But at the same time, people look up one day and everything has changed, and they say, well, it isn't supposed to change. Everything is supposed to always stay the same. And this is the problem that we have in society. Everybody believes, well, not everybody, half the people believe we need to go back to the quote good old days. And other people believe that we need to make changes and grow with the way that our culture is moving. And so the difference is digging one's heels in or, you know, taking a risk. And I believe that perhaps these people aren't risk takers, perhaps. So they're not living authentically. Maybe they're happy as, you know, pigs in a SH, you know, but I don't think so. They seem angry. They seem like they need a leader many times.
Mm-hmm. Don't you
So
think that's the difference also between networking and a hierarchy?
yeah, but you
Some
explain.
people want somebody at the top screaming and
They
yelling and
do.
telling everybody what to
Yeah,
do.
they do. Yeah, they don't think they do,
And
but
then
they
there
do.
are those
Right.
of us who are perfectly fine with
Yeah.
being a member of a group or community and
Hmm.
working collaboratively with everybody.
Right. Right.
You
Um,
don't need a boss.
and it's very interesting that the French Enlightenment thinkers that we based a lot of our ideas about our own country's growth said that most people like to be told what to do. They will not tell you they do, but they do. They want to be told what to do as long as it doesn't interfere with what they think is their freedom. And you know, it's a hard call because we all don't. I don't think anybody really likes it, but there are some people that can be more heavily influenced, and that's why cults develop. Cults are simply a group of people who believe the same way. So that, you know, even the Boy Scouts or even the Kiwanis Club could be called a cult because they all work together. But we demonize the word cult as something negative. But that's because we've seen a lot of negativity come out of groups that give over their power, give over their money, and so forth, to which they believe is something authentic, but is not, is only the ego and the authority of the people that run the show.
Mhm.
So um,
Mhm.
let's talk a little bit about aging, because I'm seeing a lot of comments about aging and how one feels about it. People almost apologize now for being in their 60s and 70s. And disturbingly, many people believe that all baby boomers are conservatives and that they, um, you know, I guess the new word is Karen, to be a Karen, somebody that complains a lot. Um, I'd like to change that. I'd like to move that and find the crones and the male wise elders that could just be instrumental in sharing their wisdom and knowledge. And I wonder what you think about that, because I've seen people say, you know, I'm 75, I was real happy, but through COVID, I've had this problem, or I can't go, I feel like I don't know where I'm going, or I'm looking for something new. And there's a frustration, and there's also a deep sense of um, impatience or wanting to find something because there's a gap or there's a hole missing, perhaps that part of them that was not authentic. And that's just my question, I guess. I don't have an answer for that. What do you think about that?
What direction are you wanting to take this? What are you thinking?
Well, I just feel like
I'm not finding something to focus in on. That's
well,
what.
I'm trying to bring in the idea that people believe sometimes that it's almost too late to do things. It's too late to go back to school. It's too late to learn something new. Or they
Grandma
say,
Moses would not like that.
no, or they have a sense of urgency, like, oh my God, somebody get me on the right track, because I haven't done this because I raised my kids and I had a career and I did this and I did that, but now I need to know everything. I need to know, what do I do? Where do I start? How do I go? Um, and
By taking the first step.
well,
Look
it
what you
is,
and I are doing. Look at this.
right?
We had a session with Andrea, and she's the one that said, I love you guys. I want to have you on and do a
Mm-hmm.
video.
Right.
And I went, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Because of
And
your age?
because I'm not familiar with it, I've never done this
Oh,
before.
okay.
And
Well,
you Zoom all the time. You're always teaching and always on the. So
mhm.
to you, it was nothing. It's like, big deal. But I went, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I had to stop, back up, come to terms with it, and then realize I needed to do this.
Yeah.
I stepped into something different.
Right.
I changed it. And it was a small, teeny little thing, just, being online. But
Hmm.
it's a step forward, a step different. And that's all we need to do is take that
Right.
first step and then let
Which
universe,
is one of the
get out
Zen
of our
sayings.
way
Yeah.
and let universe take over and do its
The
thing.
journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So that's what
Yes.
we're doing this. And although this isn't the first step we've taken into the waters of spirituality, we have both
No.
been taken away from our, our attention was taken away due to
Life.
work and responsibilities and making
Yeah.
money and all that other stuff. Yeah. But it's always been there. It's just not quite, it's
Mhm.
dipping back in and hoping other people feel they can gain something from some of the things that we talk about. That's really,
That's one of the blessings of this, the pandemic, is that we can now stop and kind of recess and
mhm,
go, oh, we get back to
right,
what our basics are.
right. Um, so I guess where I want to get this back to is the aging idea that I know that when my brother was interested in doing taxes, he used to do them by hand. And I told him back in 1990 or something, or 89, you need to be doing them online or you need to do it on the computer. And he was very, very, no, that's too, he doesn't know enough about it. He didn't understand it. And I said, if you don't take the leap and learn how to do something, then you won't be able to keep up with the world. And I know you did that too with your computer use in your office that you used to have, and that you had DOS and all that stuff. You started right away learning about it. And ever since then, you've been able to adapt to some of the changes that have come along in different software and different ways of doing things. But I think that there are some people who are aging out there that think, oh, it's scary, I might do something wrong. We're not as old as we are unless we say we're that old. Yes, I forget things. Yes, I say things wrong. I can't think of a word. But up here, you know, in my mind, I'm not in my 60s. In
Yeah.
my mind, I'm in my
And,
30s.
and you have a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom, a lot of joy. I can't think of any other word to use that needs to be passed along. We're not going to be here forever,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yep.
And when we do leave this planet, a, a lot of the knowledge that we have is just going to go with us. And if we don't do anything else but share some of that
Right.
knowledge and
Yep.
that experience and what has brought us joy and tranquility and peace and
Mm-hmm.
happiness, um,
Might help
it's
somebody else.
just a waste.
Right.
It's a
Might help somebody
waste.
else. Yep.
And so I'm going to be just like you. I want to urge anybody and everybody, if you're alive, we need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
world needs to
The
hear.
world needs you. You pretty much chose coming here when you did. And even though this is a horrible situation we've all been dealing with, it is a culmination of a lot of years of suppression and other things. And so, just coming here at this time, But dealing with it is very, very difficult. And I don't have the market on how to deal with being home in a pandemic and losing people and all that, and crazy elections and uprisings. But that is why I chose Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, first for a book club read, because I believe that Viktor, who describes his situation in a concentration camp and how he got through it, you know, offers us all hope, and also provides us with a kind of filter to look at our experience through. And I just think it would be really, really a good book to start out talking about, because we're just surrounded by death and sickness.
It's a recipe.
It's one of the recipes. Then we'll find some real joyful books to read. I promise. There's nothing worse than, sitting, being already depressed and reading something depressing. And then, but I'm hoping that in the discussion part of it, we can come to terms with what it is that, we're all feeling, and how we can deal with what it is that he says and how we feel about it as well. So I encourage you all to think about it at the very least. Death, dying, not an easy topic. We're not seeing it unless it touches us. We don't really understand how it feels. We don't, although many of us who are older have had to deal with great loss, but not so much as in this pandemic, and not so much in that this could have been prevented, or it could have been spun differently to the masses. And I don't think it's just America. I think that, there are other countries that have not spun this very well and not asked people to come together and do the things that they need to do. But it is part of who we are and how we live. We have to bury the dead, and we have to also be aware that, we are on a limited time frame, no matter how old we are. I tell that to my students all the time. Just because you're 18 doesn't mean you can't die. You could be in a car accident, you could walk across the street, you could whatever. And, you don't want to focus on that, because that's depressing. And of course, it isn't usual that somebody really young will die, but it happens. And we have to be able to be prepared to discuss things like that with other people, because there's a lot of pain that stays deep. And I'm not a therapist, but I am a person who has had a lot of pain. And I know that there are a lot of you that have as well. So I guess aging is what is not to be feared as much as death is not to be feared. Aging should be a celebration. But as Osho says in one of his books called Maturity, he says there's old people, men and women, who are 70 years old but not wise. They're still children. And there are 10 and 12-year-olds that are very wise, and they're very young. So maturity doesn't mean aging. And what you were yesterday doesn't mean it has to be who you are tomorrow or today, remembering that we have this present moment to make a change. And I think that that has served us well when we think about the present moment. Don't you agree, Keith?
Yes.
Yeah. So we hope this session helped you. There's a lot of other things we could have said today, but
just the beginning.
We want to just start off slow and easy and see how it goes. So thank you so much. We hope you come back and see us again on our riffing session. Bye-bye now. God bless you.
Bye.
Bye.